When we think about John 3:16, everybody in the world has heard this verse, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. So it started with somebody, for God.
Mm-hmm.
And so love is a choice. He gave his only son. So love is a choice. He gave. And then what happens? It's action, gave. And then there's sacrifice because Christ came to sacrifice. So love is a choice in action, but we serve in this as well. Welcome to Coach Soul, the podcast where we explore therapeutic ways to the best versions of ourselves. I'm your host, Steve Hudgins. I'm a licensed professional counselor dedicated to helping you navigate life's challenges. In each uplifting episode, we'll discuss mental health, relationships, self-care, emotional well-being, and personal growth. Join me and with my co-host, Kenya Evelyn, a therapeutic life coach, where sometimes we'll even welcome special guests to our show that share their experience and expertise. So let's embark on this transformative path together and discover a healthier and happier you. All right, welcome back to Coach Soul. Love is in the air. I don't know why love is in the air, but, we got 3 different shades of red going on in here. We're just going to be hot and heavy today, Kenya.
I love it. Oh, as soon as we turned the camera on and I saw that you were also in red, not just red, like the burgundy red, we actually didn't talk about it. It's the good vibes.
It is a vibe. Love is in the air, right? And, that brings up a good thought, too, about vibes or love is in the air. We think about Valentine's Day and, oh, my gosh, how much pressure. Men, women, I don't know who gets it. Who cares? It's not about the gender of love. But, Valentine's Day, it doesn't create love. To me, it just adds pressure, and pressure narrows perception. And when the pressure rises, the nervous system does not ask what's possible here. It asks what has happened before. What do I need to avoid pain? So that romance is not experienced in the present, but it's still filtered through our past. What do you think about that?
Oof, I just love the way you put it that, Steve, because Valentine's Day it's in the calendar. So you are to be a romantic, even though I actually like the American idea that, I can call Steve and say, you're my friend. Happy Valentine's. So much love and brothers and sisters. But it's definitely catered for a romantic partner for sure. You go to the stores and that's what you see. Be mine, kissy kissy, and all the things. You touch the point of the nervous system. And this podcast is for you, dear listeners. Let's take a breath together. This podcast is for you. Number 1, to celebrate what you have created. If you are in a relationship that you look back and say, wow, I overcame. I have what my parents didn't have. I have exactly what my parents have. And you worked on yourself and you have a partner that you constantly grow and love. Congratulations. Keep going. You are on the right track. You are ever evolved being. So keep giving and receiving and keep growing. However, if you have not created that relationship, I just want to say, we see you. I see you. And we want to love on the part of you today that have been resisting, because the resistant, I know there is a resistance. We know there is a resistance because it's not in your life yet. If it was flow, if you were magnetic, if your heart were open, if you were actually in this moment and your nervous system was regulated, you would have it. It's just what is, right? And at the end of the day, I dare to say we all want it, because every other person I speak with, every other person I coach with or have been in therapy with, it will tell me that life is worth living when you look back and you share those moments with somebody special. You share the travels, you share the success, you share the pictures, you share a family. So we all want, Steve, can we all agree that we all want to feel that we were witnessed? It's not that we were completed by somebody else. I know and I pray that you feel that you are deserving and that you're whole as you are. Somebody else is not coming to complete you. However, to be witnessed by someone, to grow with someone, to have arguments and come together and to see your own growth in different relationships. It's a privilege. So this podcast is dedicated to you. Let's come back and forth, Steve, and see what kind of tools we can give to our friends here, to our listeners, so they can keep their heart open. If it never worked before, let's give it a tool for you today so that your nervous system actually perceives that you can create and receive with God a new day, a new meaning, a new partner, a new story versus repeat the experience of the past.
That's the thing. We hold on to a past, and yeah, we say history repeats itself and things of that nature. But where is our responsibility to manage, right? Not react, but manage where we are, because, some people could feel tense or guarded around romance right now. But if we pause and just ask ourselves, what past experience is speaking louder than our present moment? Then remind yourself, this moment is not the same as that moment. So let it sit in silence, because when you think about healing is not forgetting what happened, it's teaching your nervous system that now is not then, and that's work. And when you think about looking at memories of our past, when memory loses its grip, people stop performing. They stop bracing. They start participating again. And romance does not feel like that risk. It feels like a possibility. Sometimes because we got hurt by a romantic whatever, we don't want to move forward because it's so painful.
Yeah.
Somebody said, well, I did this and I was wrong, and I did that and it came out wrong. And I explained to her, I said, what if it's not about wrong? It's a learning experience that helped you to gain knowledge to move forward.
Yeah.
And so when we think about what is love, it starts internally. We have guilt and shame and regret, and we feel like, well, we can't love ourselves. Well, sure we can. But when I want to break this down a little bit, and then I want you to kind of expound on it further. When we think about John 3:16, everybody in the world has heard this verse, for God so loved the world that gave his only begotten son. So it started with somebody, for God.
Mm-hmm.
And so love is a choice. He gave his only son. So love is a choice. He gave. And then what happens? It's action, gave. And then there's sacrifice, because Christ came to sacrifice. So love is a choice in action, but we serve in this as well. When I think about having my children, that changed me so much, because I went from a selfish person to a person that realized I had to sacrifice for my kids. I had to stop doing what I had to do and do things for them, because they became their priority over the needs that I needed. And that sacrifice. But Kenya, so often when we think about love, are we really sacrificing for those? Or what does sacrifice really look like when it comes to providing meaning in a relationship?
Oof. Well, I'm not a big fan of that word, Steve.
Yeah.
So I am going to use my own words and my own perception. And I don't mean this in a selfish, unilateral way, but in my walk with God and my clients and my own personal relationship, being married for 20 years, as a human, sacrifice leads to resentment. That's what I have experienced. However, giving from your abundant, overflowing heart leads to fulfillment and generosity.
Okay.
So if I am sacrificing, but there is a hidden agenda, because he would do the same for me, because at the end, he's going to give back, because she's going to do that. It ain't going to happen. There's something in there that if there is a hidden agenda, and I'm not saying, please listen to me, that you're doing with the hidden agenda could be your nervous system, subconscious mind, just going like, oh, I'm going to do exactly this because I see what happens and it's going to happen for me too. And it's all subconscious placement. So here's my guidance, my invitation for you, dear listeners. The love that we're talking about here is always and forever self-love first. A overflowing love that is given because you're so good with yourself that you have enough to give. You're so good with your time that it actually rejoices you giving him a massage. You're so good with, you're well hydrated, so you can literally flow into somebody else. So it is very common, and I'm speaking in behalf of my fellow ladies, my female, my women's, my mamas. It is very common for women to give from an empty cup, to do self-abandonment, because it's visceral. It's literally in our lineage. We are applaud. You're such a good mother, when you haven't slept in 10 days and your eyes are like super dark. And, oh, you're such a good woman. You're behind your man. It's like his 13 business. And, so I don't know. Is it? So when we show up and do something for ourselves, and then we give from a full cup or something inside, then love flows. Because in the end of the day, you're not expecting something because you already have it. I'll repeat myself. You're not expecting the love back because you have given the love to yourself. So anything that comes, it stretches you. It's a dance. You go places. And because I'm a believer, I'm going to say that I'm not here saying that I fill my cup with myself and my thing. I am saying that I take time to pour into me. I take time to have contemplation with the Holy Spirit. I take time to breathe. I notice when my breath is shallow. I notice when I am in frantic mode. I notice when I'm not regulated. I stop. I scream. I ground. I hum. I notice. And I'm constantly aware. So if you hear this, dear listeners, what is love? Love is to be one with all parts of you, which includes God. That is actually my definition. Because if I am one in intention, how do you know? It's an intention. My intention is to be whole, me and God and the Holy Spirit. So when I am in love with other people, it's just pure abundance. It flows.
It's important for us. It's not about, oh, I love myself. I'm going to go buy my flowers and give them to myself. That's
I can
not
buy
love.
myself flowers.
Right.
It's so cheeky. No.
Right.
It
Like,
doesn't feel as good.
here's the thing. Sometimes we get that feeling of tit for tat. Tit for tat is not about being petty. It is about regulating safety. And at its core, it says, I will only give what I receive. I will not be the one who loses. And so this pattern usually forms, this tit for tat, is because vulnerability was not met. Effort was unequally used in the past. And so love felt that unsafe or conditional. So that nervous system creates that rule. Let's match that energy so I don't get hurt. And that is survival logic and not romance. So intimacy requires the asymmetry at times. Yeah, someone has to go first or, repair when it feels unfair. But tit for tat turns connection to a ledger. And love cannot deepen where people are keeping score. So what ways can we look at maybe stop asking, is this fair? Fairness is a legal concept if you really want to look at that term, right? And love is more of a relational one. Yeah. So instead of asking, did I earn this from him, or I don't feel, or her, or I don't feel worthy, ask yourself, what kind of partner do I want to be in this moment? Yeah. Because that question returns agency to the relationship.
I love that. And if I can expand on that, the question that comes to mind when you say that, and then I love this because when you speak, it just stimulates my brain. What haven't I given to myself that I'm expecting somebody to give it to me? Because there's a feeling in the giving, like, okay, when he gives this to me, I will feel blank. And I'm not talking about, oh, I didn't give me flowers, so I won't expect him to give me. It's not that. It's the feeling. What haven't I give to myself that I'm expecting that when other people treat me certain way, it generates a feeling that is healing to me. And I dare to say that for 99% of us is acceptance, is that I see you. I approve of you. You're great. Like the cards. Oh, Steve, you're such a wonderful man. You this, you're that. So, wow, somebody saw me in writing. I have a proof. And I'm not even going to say that our inner child is happy. I'm going to say our inner child, our inner teenager, our youth, all parts of us are like, wow, I'm good enough.
Right.
I'm a good person. And I'm so grateful somebody sees it. So I'm going to keep that person around because that person thinks I'm great. So my question is, do you think you're great?
I don't think. I know.
Exactly.
I'm great through the power of God because he who has created me has created a good work, right? It's not that I'm being egotistical. I'm being confident in what God has given me the ability to do. And I should be a good steward of what he's provided for me to have. But when you go into that tit for tat, right, it's driven by fear. How is it driven? 3 ways. Fear of being taken advantage of, for fear of being the only one trying.
Yep.
And I hear that often, well, I'm the only one that's trying in this relationship. And then fear of looking foolish for caring. So listeners, ask yourself, what am I protecting myself from right now? Because we need to name that fear so it loosens how we are, right? So we want to move from reaction to intention. A reaction says, I'm going to respond in kind. But intention says, I will act in alignment with what? My values.
So I have a question for you. What's the opposite of love in your experience?
Fear, because fear causes anger, hate. Fear causes a whole separation. Love combines and brings together joy, happiness, peace.
I have a neighbor response to that.
Okay.
In my experience, the opposite of love is judgment. Self-judgment being the first one. Because I can't love something that I'm judging. And I'm right there. And I think it's an array of colors, right? And I really want to bring the word colors here because I want our listeners to visualize that there is no bad emotion, that there's no bad feeling. They're all part of the human experience. Everybody thinks they want a bunch of money because when you have a bunch of money, you're just going to have a better life and you're not going to have suffering and pain. Well, with a bunch of money comes other suffering and pains. I'm just letting you know because I have had a bunch of money a few times in my life. And the point here is love or fear or judgment is all part of an array of emotions that we ought to experience as being humans. The question here is, will you take a risk or will you stay the same? Will you allow yourself to take a risk? Will you take a risk on expanding or getting out of the comfort zone? Will you take a risk and maybe go for a different type of person, different type of aesthetics, different type of, let it be new. What part of you, what are you really seeking in somebody? Right. Because I dare to say, when I look around and I'm looking around literally, my husband, myself, the previous versions of me, my upbringing, my clients, my kids, and that's all I know what to bring to the table, even though I'm a reader and I read, but I have to speak from the heart, Steve. At the end of the day, if I am in love by choice, I experience no judgment, therefore, and experience no fear. But when I am upset with my husband, it's because I'm judging him. I'm judging a behavior. I immediately shift from, oof, unconditional love doesn't even come to my mind. It's like, I can't believe he did this. He knows better. You know, the inner critic taking space. And guess what? I do the same thing with me. Kenny, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you didn't, it's the same voice.
I want to kind of give a listener a different perspective. We got about 5 minutes left.
Okay, let's go.
And hearing what you're saying, a thought came to mind that, fear is the root. Judgment is the strategy because fear is the body experience, right? Before it is a thought. Because fear asks that one question, am I safe?
Correct.
But when that nervous system does not feel safe, the mind moves quickly to create order. And that's where, to me, judgment enters. It's an attempt to regain control. So when you think about judgment,
I love that.
If I can decide what this is, I can avoid being hurt. And so because judgment's louder, fear is quiet and physical, whereas judgment is verbal and mental. People notice that thought that, that person is going to disappoint me. and they miss the sensation underneath, that the tightening that came before that thought.
What I hear you saying is the baby of the fear, right? What births out of the fear, this, you call it the strategy.
Yeah.
It is all the same foundation. It's a foundation of separation. It's a foundation of unbelief. Like, I don't believe I can do this. I don't believe I deserve this, or he deserves me, or she deserves. And it shows up as a hot mess of disconnect.
It is a hot mess of disconnect. And I don't know, several times I've heard, I just don't know if I can love you the same way you love me, right? And it's like, wait a minute. Are we judging ourselves? But when, to me, love is about being transparent. Love is being vulnerable. And you know what? Love takes risk. But at the same time, there is no right or wrong answer to love.
Yeah.
It is just about doing an action. And we say, well, I did it wrong. Okay, but maybe you didn't do it wrong. Maybe it was a learning experience to elevate your emotional intelligence, to elevate your love to a greater aspect. And for me, and what I've learned in my own situation is that when I'm loving me, that means I'm taking care of my body. I'm watching my mental state. I'm watching everything else. That if I know how to say no, I'm not pouring out a lot of me.
Yes.
And finding people that pours back into me. We all need someone to pour back into us. And that's what I like about you, Kenya, because we are able to pour into each other. And we can say that's love. Yeah, you're married and, I'm
100% love.
Yeah.
Can I put you in a hot stuff? Not in hot stuff. You are a hot stuff, by the way.
I'm a hot pocket. There you go.
You are. Yeah. You said, when I pour into me, and then I'll find somebody that will pour into me as well. Well, did you notice that when you, Steve, decided to pour into yourself and you started studying and you were studying for your PhD and you're like, I am not going to date for a while. I'm going to pour into me. You went deep into the word and you start writing books, and the next thing you know, you attracted me, right? You attracted me, and I was a guest in your podcast, and then you invited me to co-host, and now you have a beautiful, significant other in your life. I just want to encourage our listeners through your story and through many stories that once you decide that you are worthy of the vision in your heart, the vision that God has put in your heart for a romantic relationship, and you stop by design, by intention, I'm not going to spin, I'm not going to look, I'm not going to search, I'm not going to swipe, I'm going to center.
Right.
I'm going to ground, and I'm going to pour into me and get closer to God, and people start showing up. So that is my prayer and my intention, our prayer and our intention, that you can look in the mirror and say that you're wonderful and beautifully made, that the past does not equal the future. If you see that the pattern is repeat, then stop, write down the pattern. I gave the homework to a client this week. Write down all the patterns that you see that kept repeating. Write it down, make it known. Because when you know, you can call the dog to sit. Nope, sit, not here. And choose yourself.
Yes.
Choose to love.
And we're not meaning this to be selfish. It is about knowing to, for these people pleasers that don't know how to say no, or they're afraid to offend someone. Here's the thing. It's learning that it's okay to say no. And if they respond in a negative way, that's on them. That has nothing to do with there. So we love you. We want you to have fun on Valentine's weekend, and don't put so much pressure on love, right? Until next time, take care and God bless.
We love you so much. Have a great Valentine's.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on Coach Soul. As we wrap up, we want to remind our listeners of a few key points. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not substitute professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The content shared here is based on professional opinion but may not apply to everyone's situation. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your mental health care. If you're in a crisis, please seek immediate professional help or contact a crisis hotline. Listening to this podcast does not create a therapist-client relationship. For personal advice, please consult with your licensed mental health professional in your area. Remember, your mental health journey is unique. While we hope this information is helpful, it is crucial to work directly with the qualified personnel for your specific needs. Thank you again for tuning in to Coach Soul, and we'll see you next time.